Today, every day, I meet you live and discuss about the events which happened in this space-time. So, what has happened between yesterday and today in space-time in the near neighborhood of Earth? Let's find out. Friends, the first incident that I want to talk about today is regarding the early galaxies. And as we know that there is a lot of exploration going on, and there are a lot of surprising facts that we come across many times. I mean, the JWST is also has started kicking in, and we have the Hubble telescope and a lot of other different telescopes which tells us about the early part of the universe, when the universe was in infancy. So there are a lot of surprising facts which still surprise and baffles us today. For instance, the subject that I have on the table today is about large quasars being formed very early. Well, if you know the quasars are the large galaxies with very active supermassive black hole in the middle of it. So when I say active, first of all, this is super massive. This is basically ultra massive. This is not even super massive. Very, very large black hole, which is almost like 1 to 2 billion times the mass of sun, and it is active. So when it is active, it means that it is eating and gobbling things from the galaxy itself. And to become a viable quasar, the galaxy has to be quite large. As large as the Milky Way, pretty large galaxy, not small one. So a large black hole in a large galaxy and becoming a quasar seen very early in the life cycle of universe is very surprising, because the time is not sufficient for large things like these to form, because obviously the universe was very young. But the scientists have now found that when the universe was young, the things were very close by. And when the things were close by, the matter is close by, then you can actually build large structure quickly. And this is exactly what the scientists have found, is that they wherever there is a mean mass of the universe, it could actually reach 10 times of the mean mass of the galaxy itself, of today Milky Way. So if in such a dense part of the universe a galaxy is formed, usually that will be very large, and the black hole in the middle of it will also grow very rapidly. And that is how we can see these very large, fast moving quasars in the early part of the space, when the things were not expanded so much as today. And that is a surprising fact, and now we have an answer for it, and that is why I thought I will cover that in our program today as a first. Let's move to the next one. Well, this is coming from the neighborhood, and this is from Mars. And as you know that there are several robotic probes which are exploring the surface of the Mars, and one of the mystery that we are trying to solve by going to Mars is whether the planet can support life. We already know that there is water. Sometimes we also see some sort of flash floods on Mars, but the water quickly disappears. But how were the condition in the early part of the Mars, like 3 billion years back? Was the planet habitable that time? So a lot of research is going on, and in order to get the right picture about Mars, the Perseverance, which is the latest probe sent by NASA, is basically collecting these samples. And as you know that Perseverance is supposed to collect samples, and NASA is now planning another trip to bring those samples back to Earth. So it's a remarkable mission which is going to be planned, where a rocket will go down there, collect all these samples from the designated location, put them nicely into a packet, and then throw it up in the atmosphere, where another rocket which is in the orbit will capture it, send it back to Earth, and so on and so forth. So basically there is a very, very remarkable project which is being planned right now, and this is something which is being planned, and because of this, it is important to have the right type of samples collected. That means, if you want to know exactly how the past of the Mars was, then the Perseverance has been sent to very carefully selected area which is at the bottom of a river basin. So this is where the biggest hope we have, that we may be able to find the fossils of ancient life form which existed on Mars. So that is why Perseverance is in the best location in order to locate signs of life on the planet Mars. Okay, let's move to the next one. Well, this is about water worlds, and we have seen the movie Waterworld, and we now know that there are a lot of planets within our own galaxies which are similar to Earth, same size or even larger size, but how are the conditions there? Do these planets have water? So now scientists say that there are many planets, there are billions and trillions of planets which are water world, and these water worlds are basically formed around M class stars. Now M class stars are mediocre stars, slightly smaller than Sun and also larger than the red dwarf. So there are many stars, and these are, by the way, 80% of the stars are these type of stars, and bigger stars are less in numbers, the smaller stars are more. And if there are so many stars, trillions of stars, at least half of these stars will have planets, and many of these planets will have water, and many of these planets will be Earth like, at a location where the life can form, and they would have water. Some of them may have water like Earth, or some of them will have lot of water, almost like oceans all around. So this is the latest finding, and I thought I'll share this with you because this is the latest happening in the space time in our galaxy. Let's move to the next one. Again, Mars. Now we know that there is a lot of water on Mars which is frozen, because the mean temperature of Mars is -80 degrees. It's very cold, and if we have to land on Mars, if human colony has to basically to be made, or people have to go there and survive, I think the first challenge is to bring their heat or generate heat, so that we can melt the water for drinking and also for our fuel, hydrogen, and for breathing oxygen. There is a lot of water. In fact, there is a lot of permafrost on the surface of the Mars. And if there is water, there may be glaciers also. However, we also know that the Mars is a smaller planet, not as massive as Earth. And because of that, the gravity on Mars is also less than Earth. So while we see that glacier move around on Earth, there are huge glaciers which are formed, and then they slide like rivers. The glacier on Earth moves because underneath the glacier, the water melts and it acts as a lubricant. And that on these thin layer of water, the glacier floats and move around. And in the process, it chisels the path in which it goes, and it chisels the valleys and all that. But the weight of the glacier is much more because the Martian gravity is less. So the glacier would weigh less on Mars, and because of this less weight, the way glacier move on Mars may be entirely different as compared to the glacier move on Earth. And this is something which has been identified by scientists, that they may not be carving the valleys as we see them here in India on Earth, and the valleys may not be as deep as we find them on Earth. At the same time, water melts. If it melts, it will melt quickly and evaporate. So water may not be available for providing that extra lubrication that we find on Earth, because water will evaporate because of the low gravity, low atmospheric pressure. The water will basically evaporate quickly and disintegrate into gases like hydrogen and oxygen, eventually escape the atmosphere. So the movement of glacier may be slightly different than the movement of glacier on Earth, especially if you're looking at the Martian surface. So this is the latest which happened in the space time. Let's move to the next one. And this is again about the galaxies. So scientists have found that whenever there is a supernova, there is a huge pressure wave which is sent out in the form of either gravitational wave or physical waves of the pressure of the material itself, which is in the form of winds, and they may be moving less than the speed of light but pretty fast, but the gravitational waves may be moving at the speed of light. So all of these, whenever there is a big explosion, it actually creates a sort of an environment around that glacier, and somewhere it will create some extra high pressure, and because of this high pressure, the material outside the supernova accumulates and start forming new stars. So this is a process by which the new star formation happens within the galaxy. And when the galaxies were young, when they were just forming, there was a lot of material, and that when there are a lot of material, the large stars could form. They would live their life and then explode quickly, dissipating their material back into the space, and then the further new second generation stars can form. So these large explosions basically played a major role, or even today plays a major role in the formation of new stars, and hence the formation of the galaxies. So friends, this is all we have in our multiverse space-time for this week, and hopefully you enjoyed watching this video. If you have any comments, do share your comments and thoughts, and I will meet you again tomorrow. Until then, please take care. Bye bye for today.